The Nomadic Crobot. They're going to call us Crash Crobot soon. We seem to crash into everything. Me, not Bex. Poor old Bex, she always gets it. But there is no I in team. I should probably just be banned from driving these narrowboats. But I'm not giving up quite yet. We are Chris and Bex, and this is our accidental project narrowboat. We're meant to go continuous cruising forever. But on day 2 of buying this narrowboat, 2 years ago, we found a huge leak under the floorboards. So now we've got a complete refit on our hands. Today we're heading back from St. Neots on our mini cruise so we can continue on the wreckage of the stove that we ripped out. Everything just keeps getting ripped out. And we've got to try and navigate this long steel tube back into the tricky spot in the marina. Well, it's not that tricky anymore, we've got a new spot, but it always ends in chaos. Do you reckon I should let Bex drive? So, behold, a very, very rare sighting of us out and about. Get these little rascals fed. Normally it's the swans being horrible to the ducks. Here, it's the ducks being horrible to the swans. Weirdos. So launch the rest of their breakfast into there, and then prepare for our very own launch. New day, new problems. Welcome to our boat life. So Bex is going to take control this time. Like I said, I should not be trusted. So later in this episode, Crobot made a huge error. But before that blooper, here was our first blooper. Welcome to the weed hatch blooper. Yeah, this thing was not budging. Try the old whack it in reverse trick. And at this point, we're just stuck in the middle of the river. Lovely.
Well done!
Got stuck there. All those weeds in the marina, I think. We need to get Bex back in that weed hatch.
It wasn't responding, and I think we should have checked the weed hatch yesterday because it feels like it's a bit bunged up. So I'm going to pull in somewhere when we get the first opportunity and just clear it out because it's definitely not responding as it should at the minute.
The idea was going to be to moor up quickly so Bex can clamber down in her beloved weed hatch. Approaching the designated mooring up area, we got a bit stuck. So whack the keys out of the ignition, let's get Bex down into the weed hatch before this thing becomes unstuck. God, we are reckless, guys. Well, Bex is. I'm just sort of panicking that we're going to drift off into the middle of this river. The amount of weeds we've picked up in the weed hatch, and it's all from the marina really, even in our new little spot. Lovely marina, awful weed situation. And this is when I started to realise the front of the boat was drifting out into the river. Front of the boat's starting to drift out, Bex.
Right, okay.
Drifting. So Bex is well chilled down there. I'm just a complete panicker. Right, get her out and get her moving. Why'd you take the keys out for?
If you start it up, because if someone accidentally...
A joke! Grubby little bugger, isn't she? Wouldn't see me down there. Pride of eating soaking strikes again. So onward bound back to our marina, and we've been gifted our new spot there now, so leaving the marina is very, very easy. We can start to take the boat out on lots of little adventures now, but we have yet to try and get the boat back in and turn it around in there, and it's all a little bit fiddly. Again, I'll be panicking. I'll probably pass it over to Bex and try not to laugh, because if you're a trained narrowboater, or just a narrowboater in general, it's probably quite easy. For me, it's not. For me, it's all hard, so I'm handing it over to Bex. Bex does it all now, all the DIY, all the driving. I just sit and sort of panic things. Here we go. So we've got to get the narrowboat to the mooring spot on the right here, but we've got to turn it around first so that the nose is facing outwards. Does that make sense? So our plan was to put the nose of the narrowboat, we're calling it a nose, all right, into the left up the top here. Hopefully with that wedged in there, we can now bring the back of the boat round. And then we've got to somehow work out how we're going to get the front of the boat round, because we don't have bow thrusters anymore. Thankfully, we have Rebecca Crobot on the controls, and with a little bit of reverse-a-rooney and a front-a-rooney, she managed to wangle the front of the boat straight into our little parking spot. I mean, this was spot on. Go, Bex. And now we're all set up to go straight out of the marina again for when we take the boat out next time. A new day and back to to our stove dilemma. So due to our BSS coming up in November, we've got to get this little bad boy sorted. The walls have got burn marks, which we've been told will fail the BSS, so we're going to use that as an excuse to completely revamp our little stove area, and it hopefully shouldn't take too long. Bex came up with all these great little ideas on the computer, and now we've just got to try and choose one. In the last episode, we increased the size of the stove's little platform, the half, so we could move the stove forward a bit and still be within the guided regulations. Yeah, this baby is sitting far too close to the walls. So Bex sorted that, lovely jubbly. But there is another problem that we haven't quite yet been alerted to. So let's get the little stove out again. We keep moving this back and forth so that we can get the measurements right. So earlier I said we had some quite bad sort of burn marks on the wall, and these are one of the crucial things that you can fail your BSS on, supposedly. So we're going to work on getting some fireboard up here too. So we're just going to take off this little bit here, this little nogging at the top here too.
This one you're going to have to be really careful of the ceiling.
Got a problem, Rebecca. Easy. And hopefully now the fireboard can sit in here nicely, and we will be putting an air gap behind it as well. So we are led to believe that it is not actually regulation to have anything at the top here, but because of the burn marks we just want to do it for our own safety. So for the air gap we need a batten. So get these battens done. I'm doing them all, getting all these battens done. So I'm trying a little bit harder to sort of do my bit on the narrowboat, but surprise surprise, we didn't actually need my lovely battens, did we, Bex? Some of you may have seen this horrible thing that's been on the Wombat's roof for the last year. Bex has now decided she wants to use that instead. I mean, they do look a bit better, don't they?
Batten, baby!
So let's get creating our legal air gap for the stove.
We've got a visitor. Our little girl is all grown up, and the reason that we know it's her is because she has a notch out of her webbed foot, which makes her quite recognisable. So she's got a fella now.
She's got a boyfriend now, eh? So by attempting to make our illegal stove legal, we have in fact made it even more illegal. Another day, another big Crobot dilemma. What's happened, Bex?
Okay, so I have made an error in getting the wrong fireboard. We were alerted to this by all of you lovely viewers who have commented loads, so thank you so much for that. The fireboard world is really confusing because there's like loads of different kinds, and there's codes that go with each of the types of fireboard as well. And so now, upon speaking to my friend who's a HETAS engineer and who knows exactly what's right and wrong, he told me what we need is an A1 non-combustible fireboard. Now the confusion has come because the pink stuff that we got is an A1 fireboard. You know, they haven't taken the time to sort of differentiate the name enough for it to not be confusing, so I basically just cocked up. Simple as that. So thanks again to all the people in the comments, because that was just in the nick of time actually, just before we started putting on the tiles. God, it never ends, does it? So today we're going to head off and we're going to pick up the correct materials, aren't we, Beck? We are. I have had a really lengthy conversation with my amazing friend who has helped loads, and he's set me on the right track, told me what I need, told me how I need to do it, just basically everything. So we're heading off to go and collect the correct fireboard. Also on this little trek, we're finally going to go and pick up our lovely tiles for the stove area. Finally picking up these tiles from what looks like some dodgy little area in Bedford. Is it dodgy, Bex? It does have a sort of feel of dodginess about it. It's probably absolutely fine.
Bex had a look online and ordered these up. We were hoping to have them there for last weekend. Yeah, they weren't in stock. I gave the chap a call and it was all a little bit dodgy. It sounded like some kid in his bedroom. But I think that's just what it's a bit like in Bedford. Kids working from their bedrooms. Have they played bluff? Have they just sent us to Jewson's?
That's the sat nav.
It's just Jewson's, isn't it? There's plasterboard in there. That's what you use for fireboard, isn't it? The old Al Murray tiles, eh?
Al Murray's branched out into porcelain.
Al Murray tiles. Very friendly in here.
Oh, they're lovely.
Lovely, aren't they?
Those,
So we've got slates that will be sitting around the side of the fireplace, and then these black and white squares for the bottom of the fireplace. So back into top styles, Bex. What were top styles for?
Fireboard, hardy backer cement board, which I've been assured is as safe, if not safer, when you go into all the complicated calculations. And the calcium silicate board, which is about £80 a sheet, whereas this is like £20 a sheet.
So fingers crossed we've now got the correct fireboard. God, does it ever end for us? Next up, our good friend Screwfix. And this was when I saw something horrifying. On approaching the facility, an advert for a Henry. Very interesting. Inside, I was greeted to more Henry. Bloody hate Henry. Thankfully, my old friend was still sat there on the left. Not really sure what these guys are playing at, to be honest. It's disgusting. So we're ordering up a tile cutting blade and... Here we go, bag of grout. Is it grout?
No, it's adhesive. Close.
All our new little tiles all ready down here. Slatey weighty. Bex also tells me now that she wants to put a cement fireboard with the gap below the fireplace as well now. What do you guys do? Some people do it, some don't. I don't think it's part of the regulations. We're going more down the sort of safety conscious route. And that's also just been recommended to us to make the fireplace oobly doobly safe. Crobot are safe. Problem is, you see, the fireplace would normally sit on here, but if we put the gap in here with the cement board, it's going to bring it up a bit higher, probably to about that. My worry with that was, is that going to be a little bit high? Do we want this thing on a sort of a platform? But then after looking at a few sort of Google images, you do see a lot of narrowboats with their fireplaces on quite large platforms. Some of them are even like a foot high, aren't they, Bex?
Yeah, and some have like drawers and stuff and like wood stores underneath and everything, so it doesn't look that unusual. We're going to sort of like line it up and have a look and see, because we might be able to bring it down a bit by taking out a layer of wood if it looks too high.
So better start getting all these off again. It's an easy fix. Starboard! Done. What is it? Starboard board. We'll just take them back to Wicks. No problem. Damaged. Turned up damaged. She's going mad. Taking it all off.
I'm in a rage.
She is. She's just itching to tear it all off.
Good thing we've got some fireboard, because I might burst into flames. I'm in that much of a rage.
What's wrong with her? So we don't think these are going to be strong enough now, because we've got the really heavy fireboard now. We're going to double up on that as well to fit guidelines, safety guidelines. Are you going to take them off or not? Not them.
I'm thinking about that at the minute.
Okay. So we're just looking up at the basic sort of diagram from the Heatus website, where it shows you sort of the fundamental main things that you should be aware of when doing your stove. You've probably seen it on there. There's a sort of a little diagram if you Google it. And it's quite a good way of sort of getting all the measurements right. Not good if you wanna get the safety boarding in. It is actually. It says on there exactly what it should be, and we didn't follow it, did we?
Apparently this is not actual regulations, but it's what they recommend. It's all well and good, but if you were to have, God forbid, a horrible boat fire, they worked out that you hadn't followed these recommendations, then you might come into trouble. Always use a professional to carry out the installation.
Told you, we're professionals.
Technically, we're not actually installing the stove. We're just doing all the stuff around the edges, so I think we should be alright.
So after a lot of deliberation and checking online at all measurements and readings, decided that we're going to nibble into our half. I keep calling it half. So here is the half, but it's going to be up to about here after all the safety things. So we're thinking if we take this top layer off, that brings that down half the size. So when we put a gap in between, it should only bring it to a much more sort of comfortable looking sort of area. Otherwise this thing's quite intrusive. I wonder at this stage how long the channel can survive for. So we're going to get the half completely out now, so we can just have a fresh start on this thing. We're going to repurpose some of the wooden battens from the old hearth.
And to all that effort, I need to have to rip it off again.
And now also the new bit that Becca put in. Then we've got a new level area here where we can put our new proper fireboard with a proper fireboard air gap. Whole YouTube channel about just putting things on badly and taking them off badly.
Can I just take this moment to say that anybody wanting to alter their fireplace in their narrowboat, just don't do it. It's so unbelievably complicated and stressful, getting everything right and safe.
So now that we've got those bits off, we're going to screw back in the old battens, and then we've got our legitimate fireboard here now. We're going to double up, we're going to put 2 of these on there. The actual diagram that you saw Becca looking at earlier is only sort of a recommendation of what to do. It's not the legitimate thing. I think you're actually meant to look up what your actual stove model is online and then look in the actual manual, which will be like a PDF file or something, and then work out how much heat it generates and if you need the air gap put between the stove and the hearth. It's all very confusing, so back to stage 1 now. So get our new reused battens down and then start trying to cut our new legitimate fireboard. And guess what? Another problem. Fingers got stuck. The board was just refusing to snap. I don't know if it's our Stanley. We just checked on YouTube. A chap just scored it once with Stanley. This doesn't want to break. Maybe I'm not heavy enough. What a life. What a magical narrowboaty life.
Oh God.
So I just ring the Maverick and find out if we're doing something wrong here.
Alright, the 4th method is to use a jigsaw. Now this is a method that I still use, and it's not bad, especially for a homeowner if you don't want to buy a dedicated tool. Now the trick is use a very coarse blade. In this case it is a wood blade. They do sell blades meant for fiber cement backer board. They're expensive and I'm not sure they buy you much more.
Okay, so call us crazy, but we're going to try it with the jigsaw. That's a wood blade, a very coarse cut blade. Supposedly won't last very long. Put my mask on for this one, I reckon. This took absolutely forever, guys. And wait until you see the blade after even just half a foot's worth of cutting. So that's about a foot's worth cutting with the jigsaw. Maybe the snapping procedure will be a bit better.
That's what it starts off looking like. That's how it ends up looking like.
Not even a foot.
Not even a foot. You can, by the way, get multi-material jigsaw blades, but they're really expensive.
£3 if you want these ones. So battery in. She don't care, the pride. She just absolute blimmin' nightmare with this, and we've got 5 boards to try and get through. Thankfully, we've got a visit from an old friend who's going to come down and help us out fit a new flue and chimney to the stove. Welcome back to the Maverick.
So there's probably one there. Like you might find that there's a joist there, and we can just fix the plate to that.
So I think you just need to go a bit deeper on your cut.
Maverick's going to show us how it's done. Now the pressure's on. All on film. We succeed now. He's done it, guys, and that means that we can do
This
it.
man is a gem.
Is there anything the Maverick can't do?
Just got to push a bit harder, go a bit deeper.
Oi, oi.
I'll hold on for too long, make it a little bit awkward.
Get off him. He's mine. And off he went. It's a very successful trip from the mighty Maverick. Very happy with that. Yeah, he's going to be helping us installing all our new stove stuff correctly. But now to see if we can replicate what the Maverick just taught us. And this was actually the way that Bex wanted to do it all along. I will never doubt her methods again. So supposedly only a professional, well-trained carpenter can do it with the Stanley.
Just call me professional.
So that's the bottom of our half. Do you like it that I'm explaining it all? Yeah, I don't. I'm the one that doesn't have a clue about any of it, and you're the one working it all out and everything.
Used to it.
Well, I'm learning, and I'm just trying to keep you guys informed of the situation. So we've got our fire gap at the bottom of the half. We're putting 2 layers of our protective safety board on here now, and things have actually started to pick up and start going right for us. Wouldn't recommend doing it with a Stanley unless you're a fully fledged pro, guys. Wow. Turns out you might be a pro too, Bex, without knowing it.
I showed Chris how to do it initially, And now he's like, oh.
I wanted to do it with the jigsaw because when we done that first one, it just wouldn't snap. Now it's going quite straightforward, actually.
It's all about the leverage.
Crobot are professionals. So once again, we're going to put the fireplace back. We're in! The hernia lives another day. What's the idea behind that then, Bex?
It's basically to check the distance between the back of the stove and the back wall so I can work out the airspace batten depth.
So we're doubling up on the hardy backer cement board there. We've got the gap at the back there as well, but we're just trying to make sure that this space here is correct because we're obviously going to have some slate tiles on the back here as well. So the Maverick wanted to put a bigger hole in the roof so we could have an insulated flue because currently it's not insulated and they're meant to be much better. And I think by the new guidelines it has to now be an insulated flue. So we're thinking of maybe moving the hole slightly this way in the coming weeks, thus allowing our lovely little stove to come forward, giving us the correct measurement at the back there. So you've got that to look forward to. We're going to increase the hole on our roof. Scary stuff. So yeah, we're going to increase the hole of the hole on the roof. Weird. Anyway, we are finally moving forward. Cold months are coming. We've got to get this finished soon. Please like and subscribe, guys. It's completely free. Have an awesome, awesome week, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.